We've already learned that when we have a distance time graph, the slope of the graph gives me my speed. But we've always had straight lines. Now I want to deal with, well, what if we have a curve? How do we deal with the average speed? Well, it says the average speed, which is VAV, is just stands for average, is equal to the total distance divided by the total time. So if I wanted the average speed between 0 and 4 seconds, what I do is I put a dot at 0, I put a dot at 4 seconds, and I draw a line connecting the two of those. And then all I need to do is find the slope of this line. And remember, slope is just rise over run. The other thing I could figure out is like, well, I don't want the average for the whole trip because in the beginning I was going very slow, at the end I was going very fast. I want the instantaneous. I want to know exactly at 4 seconds. If I was driving down the road and a police officer put the radar gun on me at exactly that moment, what was my speed? So what you do is you put a dot at whatever time period we want. In this case, it's 4 seconds. And we draw this line called a tangent, and we find the slope of the tangent. And I want to explain what a tangent is. So a tangent is a line that touches the curve only in one spot without crossing through it. So here's an example of the tangent. So my little spot was right here. I put my ruler down, and my line just lines right up. So you just put your ruler down, and we just want to touch at that spot only. We don't want to cross through two spots, one spot. We don't want to miss it. So this line here is an example of a tangent. Then I've got a couple examples which are not tangents. So if you miss the curve, that's not a tangent. If you cut through the curve, that's also not a tangent. And there is actually another example. What if I cut through in two spots? So if I draw a line that cuts through in two spots, 1, 2, that's also an example of something that's not a tangent. So when I come back up here, what I've done is I've figured out, put my ruler down right at that spot, and it gives me a slope. And what you can see is, if I look at my ruler, that slope is steeper than my average speed, so they're not necessarily the same. And tangents are kind of handy because in the beginning, let's say I wanted 1 second. It's very flat. That means that's a low speed. About halfway through, my ruler gets a little steeper, so that means I'm speeding up. Over here, I've already done this one. It's even steeper, so that means I have a greater speed. And then at the end, if I drew a tangent, my slope is very, very steep. That means I'm going very fast. So by just kind of putting your ruler down, I can figure out, oh, I'm going slow, speeding up, speeding up, speeding up, speeding up, by just looking at the slope of my tangent lines.